So we are reading today Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 3, verse 8 and 9. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, my companion and my teacher, O my great wealth and deliverer, O my good fortune and bliss, I offer respectful obeisances unto you. Garantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So this is the chapter called Gajendra's Prayer of Surrender. It could be that the sound system is not on. Yeah. So at this stage, actually, Gajendra is still fighting with the crocodile. And as the crocodile is biting, as the crocodile is biting on his leg, chewing on his leg, he is offering those prayers, which are actually very beautiful and also very philosophical. Amazing. So we just go word by word of the verse first, so that we maybe memorize one or two words, so that when we recite we get a better idea of what we are doing. Na, not. Vidyate, there is. Yasya, of whom? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Cha, also. Janma, birth. Karma, activities. Va, or. Na, not. Actually it was nor. No. Namarupe, any material name or material form. Guna, qualities. Doshaha, faults. Eva, certainly. Va, either. Tatapi, still. Loka, of this cosmic manifestation. Apayaya, who is the destruction. Sambhavaya, and creation. Yaha, he who. Svamayaya, by his own potency. Tani, activities. Anukalam, eternally. Richati, accepts. Navidyate yasya chajanma karmava. Navidyate yasya chajanma karmava. Nana marupe gunadosha evava. Nana marupe gunadosha evava. Tata piloka pyayaya sambhavani. Tatapi loka pyaya sambhavaya. Tatapi loka pyaya sambhavaya. Svamayayatani anukalam richati. Svamayayatanu anukalam richati. Can see there are many embellishments in the verse, many pyayaya, sambhavaya, samayaya. Beautiful. So, please
Navidyate yasya cha janma karma va.
Navidyate yasya cha janma karma va.
Nanama rupe guna dosha eva va.
Namara rupe guna dosha eva va.
Tatapi loka hayaya sambhavaya.
Tatapi loka pyaya sambhavaya ya.
Svamayaya
Svamayaya tanyanukalam richati. Navidyate yasya cha janma karma va. Nama rupe guna dosha eva va. Tatapi lokya pyaya sambhavaya ya. Svamayaya tanyanukalam richati. Navidyate yasya.
Navidyate yasya cha janma karma va.
Navidyate yasya cha janma karma va.
Nanamarupe guna dosha eva va.
Nanamarupe guna dosha eva va.
Tatapi loka pyaya sambhavaya ya.
Tatapi loka pyaya sambhavaya ya. Svamayaya tanyanukalam richati. Thank you. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no material birth, activities, name, form, qualities, or faults. To fulfill the purpose for which this material world is created and destroyed, He comes in the form of a human being like Lord Ram or Lord Krishna by His original internal potency. He has immense potency, and in various forms, all free from material contaminations, He acts wonderfully. He is therefore the Supreme Brahman. I offer my respects to Him. Purport. In the Vishnu Purana it is said, Gunams chadosham chamune yatita samasta kalyana gunatmakohi. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no material form, qualities, or faults. He is spiritual and is the only reservoir of all spiritual qualities. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.8 by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paritranaya sadunam vinashaya chaduskritam. The Lord's activities of saving the devotees and annihilating the demons are transcendental. Anyone annihilated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead gets the same result as a devotee who is protected by the Lord. Both of them are transcendentally promoted. The only difference is that a devotee goes directly to the spiritual planet and becomes an associate of the Supreme Lord, whereas demons are promoted to Brahmaloka, the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. Both of them, however, are transcendentally promoted. The Lord's killing or annihilating the demons is not exactly like the killing of this material world. Although He appears to act within the modes of material nature, He is nirguna, above the modes of nature. His name is not material. Otherwise, how could one get liberation by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Ram? The names of the Lord, like Rama and Krishna, are non-different from the person Ram and Krishna. Thus, by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one constantly associates with Ram and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore becomes liberated. A practical example is Ajamil, who always remained transcendental to his activities simply by chanting the name Narayan. If this was true of Ajamil, what is to be said of the Supreme Lord? When the Lord comes to this material world, he does not become a product of matter. This is confirmed throughout Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma Chamedivyam, Avagyananti Mamuda Manusim Tanum Ashritam. Therefore, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ram or Krishna, descends to act transcendentally for our benefit, we should not consider him an ordinary human being. When the Lord comes, he does so on the basis of his spiritual potency, Sambhavayami Atma Mayaya. Because he is not forced to come by the material energy, he is always transcendental. One should not consider the Supreme Lord as an ordinary human being. Material names and forms are contaminated, but spiritual names and forms are transcendental. The verse one more time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no material birth, activities, name, form, qualities, or faults. He fulfilled the purpose for which this material world is created and destroyed. To fulfill the purpose for which this material world is created and destroyed, he comes in the form of a human being like Lord Ram or Lord Krishna by his original internal potency. He has immense potency and in various forms, all free from material contamination. He acts wonderfully. He is therefore the Supreme Brahman. I offer my respects to him. So if you like, you can join me in prayers. Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Surato Pangor Mamamanda Matergati Matsarvaspa Padambujo Radha Madana Mohano Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, with the torchlight of knowledge, has opened my eyes. Therefore I offer him my respectful obeisances. So we have a very beautiful verse today that explain Gajendra is praying and he's glorifying the Lord. He's offering his respect to the Lord and he's glorifying him, saying that he actually do not appear with material form, material qualities, faults or whatever, that he is actually fully transcendental and that he actually fulfilled the purpose of this material world by coming. And today the topic of the lecture will be the purpose of this world. And the principle is that actually to fulfill the purpose of this material world, the Lord, the Supreme and Transcendental Lord appears. not just ordinary Lord, is the supreme and most amazing and most transcendental personality appears to fulfill the purpose of this world. So we will see what is the purpose of this world, how does the Lord appear, and Krishna is amazing. That will be the last part. So I was listening, what is the purpose of this world? I was listening a lecture from Swayam Bhagavan Keshava Maharaj recently, where he speaks about the purpose of this world. And it was in a question-answer session, and the question that came to him was, how do you deal with unexpected, disappointment or unexpected, unfulfilled expectations? How do you deal with that? And Maharaj gave a very, very powerful answer. He said that actually the world never lives up to your expectation. That's never happening. There is always a gap between our expectations and the reality. Always, always. And then he said the world is perfectly imperfect. And then he is very beautiful. He said you cannot understand the working of the world without understanding the purpose of the world. So if you understand the purpose of the world, then the working of the world makes sense. But if you don't understand the purpose, how the world works doesn't make sense. You will not be able to grasp it. And then he dropped the bomb. He said the purpose of the world is to take you out of the world. Very, very beautiful. He said that's why there are disappointment and frustration, so that it makes us understand it's not the place you are supposed to be. So the purpose of this world is to make us understand that this is not the original place, and help us to understand that our attempts to find happiness, real happiness in the world is going to be futile. It will never work. And I notice because we are spiritual souls and we are originally of eternal nature and blissful nature, we are very much looking for this eternal fulfillment or eternal happiness, but it just is not findable in this material world. And then he gave a very nice example. He said, imagine you are in a jail and you want to go out of your cell and the door is closed. Obviously, you are in the jail. And you scream and you say, hey, what's the problem here? The door is jammed. The door is jammed. Open the door. Hey, come on, you are in the jail. It's normal that the door is closed. Or if you are still in the jail and you say, excuse me, sir, what is the menu for today? And say, sorry, there is no menu. You will get what you get. You are in jail. So that's a little bit it's a little, how you say, hilarious, or a situation of this world that we demand and we expect that our things will go the way we want, but it's the world is not functioning in that way, and it will always be frustrating. It will never work the way we want. So I thought this is actually so practical Krishna consciousness, and so often we fall in the trap. So often when we feel disappointed because our expectations were not fulfilled, it's just like, so we take it so much to heart, like we so much believe it should have gone the way I expected. And yeah, I was amazed, because after so many years of Krishna consciousness and so many lectures heard, we so often fall into that trap, and we so often actually expect the world to work according to our desires, and it's not going to appear. And then Maharaj ends actually his answer by saying, therefore, it's so important that we develop this transcendental knowledge and cut this knot of ignorance and get out of this dream that actually the world is there to fulfill my expectations. And then another way, the purpose of this world Or another way Krishna shows that this world is actually meant to get out of this world is that Krishna appears himself in the world and show us, actually, I'm here and you can exchange a loving relationship with me in the spiritual world. So just come and show, here I am, here I give you example of how it can be in the spiritual world, so that you can actually get some enthusiasm and desire to actually get out of this world. Because in one sense, the first things that I say, it's actually a little bit negation of, oh, this world is not good. We have to get out into the spiritual world. But when Krishna comes to perform his pastimes, this is the plus. This is the positive aspect of, if you go out of this world, actually the place you go is much nicer. It's not just you have to go because here is not so good, but you have to go also because there is much nicer. And there is actually one pastime of the Lord where Kavi Karnapur mentioned about this, that the Lord actually appears to out of compassion for the living entities. And that was when Krishna was, I hope you don't mind that we go a little bit in Krishna Lila for a little while. When Krishna was actually very young, maybe 2-3 years old, I don't remember exactly the age, Mother Yashoda was carrying Krishna and she was looking at this beautiful face. She was walking in the courtyard of Nanda Bhavan. And like sometimes parents do, they throw the child in the air and capture him again and like this. And she was laughing and Krishna was laughing. And Krishna was thinking, oh, it's nice, but what if I could go a little higher? And it was going like this. And then suddenly a demon appeared. And that was Trinavarta demon. And Krishna felt, yes, the demon is approaching. And he felt, if the demon appear when Yashoda is there, it's a little bit tough for Yashoda, better I put Yashoda a little away and then I can have my pastimes with the demon. And then Krishna, this is Kavi Karnapur mentioned, expressed the thoughts of Krishna. I think the demon was there. And Krishna, feeling the demon approaching, Krishna decided to reveal an ecstatic childhood pastimes to show compassion to those rotting in the material world. That's very, very powerful statement. So we know the pastime. We will go a little bit shortly through it, but it's very beautiful because then Krishna understood, okay, I need to remove Yashoda from the scene, at least for when the demon come. So he started to make his body very heavy. And she felt, what's that? What's that? Now he's so heavy. So she thought maybe he drank too much milk. That is now so heavy. So she had to place him on the ground, and she looked actually like a tree that is full of fruits that was bowing down to place him on the ground. And then she thought, here is really something going wrong. Why is he so heavy? So she decided, I have to get the brahmanas. That's usually what you have to do when things go wrong. You go to the brahmanas. So she ran to the brahmanas, and then Trinavarta came. And he was extremely powerful. He was, he was throwing waves of sand, of broken pots, of herbs, and like this. And all the Brijbasis became very, very afraid and started to run in all the directions. And at the same time, the dust was happily dancing in the sky. That's also Kavi Karnapur, bring like a deep contrast into the pastime. And then the Trinavarta came and like whirlwind, making rounds and just capture Krishna. And at that time, Krishna made himself light like a feather. And Trinavarta took him high and high and high in the sky. And Krishna was enjoying the view, I see Braj from high now, how it looks. And Okay, it was going higher and higher and higher, and Krishna thought, oh nice, I can give my darshan to the heavenly damsels in the heavenly planets, and even the scent of Krishna's body was moved by the wind to far distance, so that everyone could not, in the higher planetary system, they could not only see Krishna, but they could smell his fragrance. Until the moment Krishna felt, okay, now I think we are high enough. And he feigned being fearful. He looked down and he was not fearful at all, but he feigned or faked, yeah, faked to be fearful. And then he grasped the neck. I mean, he was already grasping the neck of Trinavarta, and it is said that his hands were beautiful like a stem of lotus. And Trinavarta could smell also very strong aguru smell from Krishna's body, and then Krishna just squeezed a little bit more the neck of Trinavarta. Krishna actually looked like a beautiful sapphire jewel on the neck of Trinavarta, and then Krishna squeezed a little bit more, up to the time that the eyes popped out of Trinavarta's face, and then it was time for coming down, and big distance, and there was like a big scratch down on Vrindavan. And in the meantime, the Brajapasi were in big panic, fear, anxieties, and they were all looking, where is Krishna? And dust was everywhere in the sky. You could not see the sun anymore. It was really the chaos. Until the time Krishna fell down with the demon. And the demon, of course, got like the big explosion. There was like pieces of Trinavarta all around the place. And Krishna was to be found just sitting on the piece of the torso of Trinavarta that was down on the ground. And by now the wind had come down, the dust had come down, and they saw something falling from the sky. They all went there, and they found Krishna sitting on the torso of Trinavarta. And there is a very, very beautiful mention of how Krishna looked. This is also from Kavi Kanapur. Krishna, the greatest of all relishers, looked like a blossoming parijat flower amidst a garden of thorns, or a small shining lamp atop a dense cloud of darkness. Krishna resembled a river of nectar flowing in a desert, or a flower of personified bliss atop a tree of misery. So beautiful image. And then they found Krishna, and they brought Krishna to Yashoda, who had fainted in the situation. And when Yashoda got Krishna on her lap, she got back to life, and she looked at Krishna and caressed him. And she looked at him with unblinking eyes, and she spoke to him. She said, "Oh, darling, from the time of your birth, you have caused so much trouble to your mother. Of course, this is not your fault, so I cannot blame you. I am the one who left you outside and unprotected. This shows my heart is as dry as wood, and therefore I am qualified as your mother in name only." So this is a very, very beautiful pastime. And that's it's Kavi Kanapur mentioned that Krishna is coming in this world to make this pastime, to attract us. Please come with me in the spiritual world. It's much nicer. There all your expectations will be fulfilled. Or you might not have any expectations. They will be all right. Don't stay rotting in this material world. So now we will see how the Lord appears. And it's very nice, in the purport, Prabhupada speaks a lot about that. Actually, a few times. One time he says, when the Lord comes, he does so on the basis of his spiritual potency. And the second time he says, he appears in his spiritual form by his one time spiritual potency, the other one by internal potency. So this is really his desire. This is and that's come also in the end of the purport. He is transcendental because he's not subjugated or he's not under the influence of material nature. He's totally free of any influence of material nature, and he can be totally independent to do how he wants. So with his internal potency, he decide, okay, I come to this world. I will appear now in this world. And Prabhupada make this point also that is often misunderstood, that especially by Mayavad philosophy, that actually Krishna do not have form, do not have qualities and like this, but the correct understanding is he do not have material form and material qualities, but he obviously have form and qualities. And I was remembering Bhurijan Prabhu often tell this story when he was with Prabhupada. I don't remember where it was, but there was a big, Prabhupada had been invited to a big gathering for giving lecture, and there was also a Mayavadi sannyasi there in the audience, going to give lecture. So both Prabhupada and the Mayavad sannyasi was to give lecture, and Prabhupada was first, and they had a big Vyasasan that was the Acharya Vyasasan, only the Acharya will sit on this Vyasasan. So Prabhupada went on the Vyasasan, gave his lecture, and at the end of the lecture, he finished the lecture and he stayed on the Vyasasan. So the organizer, they came, they said, Prabhuji, please come, and they wanted to accompany down the Vyasasan so that the Mayavad sannyasi will sit on the Vyasasan. And Prabhupada was just looking at them and just kept sitting on the Vyasasan. But they were, Swamiji, come, please, come. And he just stayed there sitting on the Vyasasan, looking at them. And so the tension was building up in the hall, they did not know how to deal with Prabhupada. And finally they understood, and the sannyasi Mayavadi says, it's okay. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. Prabhupada say, the Mayavad sannyasi said, it's okay, I will give the lecture without the Vyasasan. And then he started to speak for a while. Prabhupada had his hands in his beads and seems to be chanting, and all the time seems to be quite all right. But when the sannyasi started to say that Krishna has no form, has no qualities, and like this, Prabhupada became furious. And he looked down and he looked at Bhurijan Prabhu and he said, stop him. And how will I do that? How will I stop him now? How do I do it? And there was a lot of people. It was not like a small gathering. And then Prabhupada noticed that Bhurijan Prabhu will not be able to stop him. So he said, just start kirtan. And then they all started kirtan, and then the sannyasi could not speak anymore. And then the program ended like this. And then at the end, when they came back to the temple after this program, they went to Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada looks to be so satisfied of how he reacted to the things. And then Prabhupada explained to them how it's intolerable for a devotee to accept such a statement, because the devotees, they love Krishna, and to say that he will not have form, or it's actually very offensive, and therefore he was acting in that way. So I thought to just recall this story, because it's a very powerful example of Prabhupada, showing that it's just not possible for Vaishnava to accept this type of statements. Okay, in the purport also Prabhupada say, Krishna is spiritual and is the only reservoir of all spiritual qualities. And he's appearing also, he's appearing in many ways actually in this material world. He's also appearing as deity. He's also appearing in the hearts of devotees who meditate on him. He's appearing in Srimad Bhagavatam, he's appearing in the Holy Dham, he's appearing in many different ways. We can get direct contact with him. But Prabhupada in the purport bring one of the most powerful way, which is the holy name. And sometimes devotees might say, Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita, he's coming when there is decline of religion. But now it's good time. I mean, decline of religion is really there. Why is not appearing now? And the answer is that he is appearing now in his form of the holy name. That is actually present now in his form of the holy name. And Prabhupada writes very nicely in the purport, I quote, "The name of the Lord like Ram and Krishna are non-different from the person Ram and Krishna. Thus, by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one constantly associates with Ram and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore we become liberated." And we can experience the direct presence of Krishna in his holy name, which is like a hidden secret. We all have heard that, but we all know it's not so easy to feel his presence as we chant the holy name, and that requires some good purification on the way. And then Prabhupada speak of Ajamil, give the example of Ajamil, and it's interesting to see that Ajamil chanted only one time. And that's also, I think, when they were publishing the books of Prabhupada, the one who translated wrote 3 times, Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. And Prabhupada said, why 3 times? 1 time is enough. I was dictating 1 time, not 3 times, 1 time, enough. So Ajamil told it only 1 time, and you are chanting it many times. Ajamil was calling for his son, but we tried to call for Krishna, for Radha and Krishna. And at the end, Ajamil was sinful, and we tried to follow rules and regulations. So there is much more hopes. So seeing what happened to Ajamil, we can remember Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. By the power of the holy name, we have a lot of hopes and a lot of hopes and good hopes. A lot of hopes. So no doubts, the holy name will be successful. And then the last point for today, that was on how Krishna appears in this world through his internal potency, internal spiritual potency, and mainly in the holy name for us, but you can contact him in many other ways. And the last, the amazing qualities of Shri Krishna, I thought, because Prabhupada writes in the purport speaks a lot about those amazing qualities of Krishna. Prabhupada writes, the Lord's activities of saving the devotees and annihilating the demon are transcendental. So Prabhupada explained that he said that both the demons and the devotee, they get the same destination. But then he comes and he said, but the devotee, they go directly in the spiritual planet of the Lord, and the demons, they go into the Brahmayoti and they merge. And few times in Krishna Lila, there is the example, I think, for sure, of Agasura. When Agasura got liberation, he was like a spark in the sky, and then he just went and merged into the body of Krishna, into the effulgence of Krishna. I think there is another, Shishupal also, yeah. So Prabhupada, he say both of them, however, are transcendently promoted, but still there is a difference. Prabhupada also say, although Krishna appears to act within the modes of material nature, he is nirguna, above the material modes of material nature, which shows also how transcendental he is. He is never ever under the control of material energy. And also, one point that I thought is actually Krishna is not always easily recognizable. Even when he was here on this planet, many they could not really understand who he was. And I'm preparing myself for Nityananda's appearance day. I took the vow to read every day 1 chapter of Nityananda Charitamrita and try to read the whole Nityananda Charitamrita per day, 1 chapter a day. And there was this pastime when Gauranga Mahaprabhu showed the 6 armed forms to Lord Nityananda. And then Lord Nityananda offered like many prayers, and you are Kuma, you are Varaha, and you are all so on and so forth, many prayers. And then he said, All glories to the Lord who distributed the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. All glories to the Lord's pastimes of accepting love and devotion from his devotees. That's a wonderful pastimes to the Lord, accepting the love and devotion of his devotee. You are very expert in concealing yourself, but your devotees always recognize you. You are the most peaceful personality. I thought so nice. The Lord is not so easily recognizable, but the devotees, because of their love, can actually recognize him. And his pastimes are actually to accept the love and devotion from his devotees. I was also reminded of this. Bhujan Prabhu gave a full seminar on that in the Govardhan retreat. Not fully on that, but few chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the chapter that come right after Krishna having lifted Govardhan hill is all the cowherd men going to Krishna and asking, what's up with your son? And it's amazing because when Krishna was lifting Govardhan hill, they were just too amazed to think. But when Krishna put the hill down, then they started to, come on, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then they all went to Nanda Maharaj and they were confused and what about your son? Is he maybe the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And then Nanda Maharaj, tell them, no. Remember Kakamuni, he was saying he will have the power of the Lord. He is not the Lord, but he has some power of the Lord. And so there are often this very beautiful situation of Krishna hiding himself and at the same time displaying all his powers and then hiding and displaying and hiding. And everyone is just moving in waves of ras, in a way of admiration and getting little confused. How is it possible? And yeah, it's very, very beautiful to analyze a little bit those pastimes and how the Brijbasi react in those situations. If some of you are inspired, I mean, Bhujan Prabhu went really deep and made it really very, very beautiful and clear and tangible or approachable in the retreat, Govardhan retreat lecture. Yeah, this year it's available online if you put Govardhan retreat, Bhujan Prabhu. Very, very beautiful. And then in the purport, Prabhupada ends his purport by saying, because he is not forced to come by material energy, he is always transcendental. Because he is not at all under the influence of material energy, therefore he is transcendental. I remember when I was starting Krishna consciousness, we were playing volleyball with friends and they were not at all interested about spiritual life, but I was preaching to them. And then they were saying, transcendental meditation. And then I told them, do you know what transcendental means? No. I said, this brings you beyond the material sphere. Oh, really? So this is Krishna, beyond and never actually under the control, never under the control of material energy. So that was for today's lecture. We saw what is the purpose of this world, and that's, I think, a very powerful takeaway. We can to remember this is actually the function of this world is to take us out of this world, and that it's totally normal and totally wanted that things doesn't go the way we want. It's perfect. It's perfectly imperfect. So that's always good to remember, especially when we get frustrated. I mean, with this perspective, you just cannot become frustrated. It's just like normal. Like one devotee was, that was also very nice in the Govardhan retreat, when devotee was saying, about we should protect ourselves from seeing faults of others, in others. And then he was giving a very nice analogy. He said, if you visit a crazy house and people are acting crazily, you will not take that as normal. There's a crazy house, people are crazy, it's normal. So in the same way, this material world is a crazy house, and it's actually normal that people are little crazy. So you should not be too amazed that people are acting crazily. This is how it works in this world. And we saw, okay, there is the aspect of negation of this world, of understanding the world is actually not going to fulfill my happiness, but we were also wanted to look into the dimension through the window of Krishna's pastimes. And that's why he's coming in this world, to do his pastimes in this world, so that we can recall them, we can speak about them, we can hear about them, we can meditate upon them, so that we actually get purified and we get this attraction. My spiritual master once said that the philosophy is mainly making us understand that this material world is not the right place, and Krishna's making pastimes is there to attract us. It's the positive way that's going to pull us toward the spiritual dimension. So that was the first point. What is the purpose of this world? We were seeing how the Lord appears, mainly in his holy name form. And there, I think we all have everyday homework to actually work out our japa session, and with prayers, with meditation, with whatever we are able to make that fruitful, so that the purification is going smooth, and that we can actually feel his presence in his holy name. And then the last point was how the Lord is amazing, and how he's actually providing everyone, the demon and the demigods or the devotees, to go back to the spiritual world, but still he give a particular position to the devotee, and how he actually is hidden from common people, but cannot be hidden from the devotee's heart, and how he accepts the love and devotion from his devotees. Thank you very much for being here, and I don't know if you have any contribution, any reflections or questions.
Reflection, some anecdote to. You said that the devotees can always recognize Krishna because they love him, and I can sort of put it in my own life and say, yes, it's true, because my eyesight is really bad. So whenever my father, when we were in a crowded place, he was far away and he couldn't call me, he called me, but I couldn't really always see him, so he would whistle. Because without some kind of vocal thing, I wouldn't know where to look, so he would whistle. And we were once in India, in Jagannath Puri, and the two hotels, we were staying in one hotel, and my parents were staying in a little bit of a better hotel because it was their first time and whatever. And it was very far apart, and it's India, so it's noise, like you can't believe. And we were waiting for a taxi, and I had to go back to my hotel, and I said to my father, okay, if the taxi comes, just whistle, so that you know that. And it actually worked. So I was at my hotel, and then I heard the whistle. I was like, okay, it's taxi. Go. So I could always recognize his whistle. So that's also like Krishna's flute. Yes, you hear Krishna, and I always felt so much joy hearing the whistle, because I knew, my father is close by. So that's the one thing. But the question that I have is that I recently also am really meditating on this thing that the world is perfect as it is, if you understand what it's for. But my question is, in our relationships and in the material world, there are still laws, and there is still relationships that we have to take care of. And we can now say, okay, so if I do something wrong, or if my husband does something wrong, do I talk about it, or do I just say, it's imperfect, it's good as it is? Do you understand? There's still some material level that we have to function on. So where's the balance?
Mm-hmm.
How much can we be transcendent, or how can we combine this transcendental thought of it's imperfect, so I don't have to do anything, but we still have to do something.
Yeah, very good question. I think first of all, the first step is to understand that we can control ourselves, but not the environment. That the environment is out of our control. So whatever comes to us, we have no control. The only control is how we will react on it. So I think that will be the first step. And then the second step is definitely first of all, we know the importance of avoiding apparat. And there, this is maybe our most important task, to be actually making sure in our dealings that we, as far as possible, do not offend anyone. Sometimes even if you are careful, some will feel offended. But that's not anymore in our place. And then I would say also the proper following of the Vaishnava etiquette, so that we can actually, if someone does something wrong, to not just let it go in a way wrong. It's good that the things may be corrected, but then it needs to be done through the Vaishnava etiquette way, so that actually it's done in a proper way. It will avoid offenses, and the person might be able to actually accept it and take it in the right way. Now, one caution I will bring there, especially for those who are perfectionists, we can just see all the time mistake, and all the time say, oh, he did a mistake here, okay, I will correct, he's a junior, I can correct him. And in that way we might not fan the spark, but blow the spark, and that might not be good. So there we have to be careful that this tendency is also nicely monitored, that we give feedback really when they are constructive, and maybe after 2 or 3 times when things happened, then we give the feedback, but not the first time the thing happened, maybe not directly at the first time. I remember my wife had a meeting with all the pujaris, head pujari meeting. They will meet and have meeting once a year, 2-3 days, and discuss how deity worship goes. And there was, I think, more all the temples, I think of Europe or something like this. And there was the temple, the head pujari of London, Murli Manohar Prabhu, very, very long-term brahmachari. And he was saying, I don't give any feedback anymore to the pujari unless it's really necessary. Unless something is really wrong, then I will give the feedback. But I don't give any more feedback for small details here and there. That was very much stunning for a person who has such a long experience in deity worship and like this. Of course, we can go deep. There is all the point of training and things like this, but we don't want to go there. But the point I wanted to make is that we don't just all the time correct, and every small mistake we correct, but that we check that, yeah, we don't give an overdose. I remember when I was temple president, I had to give once feedbacks to a devotee that was elderly than me. And I gave him all the feedbacks at once. And he suffered a lot. Because, first of all, I was younger. I was in a position of giving the feedback, but I was younger. And he really suffered for long, because I was just saying, okay, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. He was really devastated after this meeting. So it's good that we are careful of that. So basically, first of all, understand the environment is not on my control, and I can just, what is on my control, how I react to the environment, and then to make sure that we follow Vaishnava etiquette and we avoid offenses into our way of helping a devotee. It should come, actually, if it comes from the right place of the heart, where you want to benefit the person, you are quite saved. But if it comes from false ego part, where you want to show you know better than the person, and you have more experience, more knowledge, blah, 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 then it's more likely that one will act in the wrong way, in the wrong track, because the motivation, the earlier the base of the action is actually on the wrong track, on the wrong side. Thank you. Okay. Anything else? Krishna Murari. This is Krishna Murari. We are so happy that he has come to Golokadam. He will be helping for the decoration for the Vyasa Puja festival. His father was a Prabhupada disciple, Narayana Prabhu, and I am very happy that he considered me my friend, and yeah, very nice devotee. Hare Krishna, welcome.
Thank you. Wonderful class. And just small reflection, as just coming from Krishna Balaram Mandir, where it's just so crowded, and I was just there's so many people, and so much you can't get the feeling of depth in the interaction between devotees. And so I've seen Mohammed so merciful enough to bring me here, so I can experience that, which wasn't getting fulfilled in the midst of all the large scale activities of Krishna consciousness. But so thank you for fulfilling that desire on behalf of the Lord. So, thank you. With the yes, I'm continuing with this discussion. Like when we have people in our lives who we have some responsibility in relationship to, but then their expectations, their desires are not in alignment with what it seems the reality that's being presented. And I myself am not like fully or sufficiently aligned where then everything is clear and how does one as I was hearing all of these things, I was saying like, oh yes, like putting like into my cup of need, and then also seeing, oh, this would be very helpful for another devotee to hear, or a family member to hear. How does one, because you're saying that we can't control I can't control my family members, and that they understand what is the purpose of this world. And I see them suffering so much, still trying to fulfill some other purpose, thinking there's some other purpose for this world. How does one deal with this my own the gap in my own expectations that people be able to assimilate this, even when I'm not actually assimilating.
I mean, we are on the way to assimilate, and sometimes we can see maybe it takes us, if difficulties come, maybe it takes us a little, we are quicker to understand, okay, what is really happening, and we can deal with our emotion in a quicker way. We can assimilate or digest the experience much quicker than people who don't have this understanding. Now, of course, that's a difficult pill to swallow, and especially when usually people can become receptive when they are out of their comfort zone or when they are a little shaken. And but it's difficult to just tell them, okay, come on, what is it? It's normal. It's the purpose of this world. That's a difficult pill to swallow. I think the best things we can do is to listen carefully to them, because when you listen, you allow them to process their emotion, and you can do like they say, and then you say, tell me more about it, and then they say, and then more, and then get the whole thing out. I remember once my Guru Maharaj asked me to speak to a devotee who was extremely angry at him, and I had to call him. And I did not know he was, I mean, anger is a powerful drive, and I did not know how I deal with all this anger. So I called a lady, devotee, which is a psychologist or psychotherapist or something like this. How do I deal with that? And she said, just listen. As more as you listen and you reflect, you make him understand that you understood what he said, the anger is coming down and the emotions come down. And then there might be more in a place where they can actually, because as long as the anger is there, you just cannot see anything clear. And then maybe to ask them some good question that might help them to think of what they could do for that, or is that happening only to you? Or do you think other people also have that? You know, that helps bring a little bit more, widen their perspective, and maybe if they are in a good time for stepping in spiritual dimension, then you can drop the final touch of Krishna consciousness into it. But then don't forget to say that there is another world that is super nice. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, I thank you for your attention. Granantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Gaura Hari Prabhu ki jai.